Hello everybody, my name is Quinn and welcome to the 4th workshop video for Healing Stories creative writing program. Today's video will be a little bit different because it's going to be very hands-on. Today I'm going to show you how to make a zine. But before I get into that tutorial, let me go over what a zine actually is. So a zine is a small handmade booklet that's meant for small circulation. They are essentially these mini self-produced magazines. Nowadays, they are often reproduced by photocopying. They are typically made in a very particular way where you fold a single piece of paper into 8 pages without any form of bookbinding. And that's what makes zines kind of more distinct from other forms of print literature. If you think of a paperback book, that's often done with perfect binding. Hardcover books are often done with case binding. Magazines or chapbooks can be done with staples, or they could be done with saddle stitch. You can also have a spiral bound book. There are a lot of different ways that you can bind a book, but zines do not have any form of binding, they are just folded. Zines are known for feeling very DIY, feeling very scrappy, very grungy, they are not professional. There's also been a more recent movement of digital zines, which kind of take away the limitations of the 8 panels. So you can do more than 8 pages in a digital zine, and you can use a lot of colors because you don't have to worry about a photocopier not being able to produce colors. Here's a little bit of zine history in case you're interested. Self-published pamphlets are a very old concept. Before zines as we know them today existed, people would often produce these small pamphlets, and they were used as acts of resistance to distribute information that was taboo at the time. For example, witchcraft or politics. Zine-like productions often got the word out while flying under the radar. I like to think about it as kind of an old version of social media, because when you think about social media, you're often writing a small amount of text or using a couple images, and it's not a lot of information. But once you post it, it'll reach a certain amount of people, and then after a certain amount of time, it kind of gets forgotten about and it's just lost in the void forever. Similarly, zines or pamphlets or any kind of self-publication has normally a very limited print run, so after the information is out there, eventually it will fade. Zines as we know them today originated in the 1930s during the Great Depression. The word zine doesn't actually come from the word magazine, as a lot of people think. It actually comes from the word fanzine, because a lot of fans of science fiction would make zines as self-publications to talk about science fiction concepts that they were fans of. There are so many different ways that you can make a zine, but I kind of like to think about it as there are 2 different pathways you can take. You can do a writing-based zine, or you can do an art-based zine, or you could combine the 2 of them. So writing-based zines can do a number of different things. They can be strictly just to provide information, kind of like a brochure or just like a pamphlet that you find at the doctor's office. Sometimes people conduct interviews and then they put them into a zine. They can also house collections of poetry, short stories, or fan fiction. It's very common to have zines that are reviews of music or books or concepts, etc. It's also very, very common for zines to be very political and to be about social justice or current events or just kind of like difficult topics like that are hard to get into the mainstream. There are a lot of different forms that you can take when you're trying to make an art-based zine. You can make an 8-panel comic. You can include photography. You can make artwork of any kind, really, like if you want to do paint or you want to draw. Collages are very, very common. And zines are also a great way to get your fan art out there. Once again, it's very common to include both art and writing in your zine, but depending on where your skill set lies, you might lean more towards one rather than the other. Zines can be a great activity for both education as well as just for fun, because they help gather and organize your thoughts about a topic, kind of like you're brainstorming. If you can find a zine template, they can really help you with collecting your thoughts like this, which is why I created the zine template that you can find on IBA's website under resources. You can turn your emotions or experiences into a physical object and you end up with a book that's about you and your journey. Like, how cool is that? You also can use whatever medium you want that's best for you to express yourself. So you can do collage, comic, painting, drawing, digital design, writing, etc. Zines are also a very great way to deliver information. If you have to send out some information to a doctor or a teacher about PANS or PANDAS, I don't think it's very exciting to have to send them an email or a PDF and it could get lost in, the digital world that is their computer. But if you give them a zine, they might actually remember that information better because it's something they haven't normally received before. Dealing with PANS and PANDAS often leads to answering a lot of questions because it is quite confusing. But if you can hand out a zine to somebody, or even a brochure or a pamphlet or a piece of paper, it just takes off the pressure of explaining that verbally all the time. You can make a bunch of copies that you can give to your friends, family, doctors, or teachers, or classmates. You can photocopy it or scan it to print it, or you could do it digitally and just print a whole bunch of copies. I think it would be a really cool idea to distribute these at school to help raise awareness. Or if you are doing a science project or a presentation at school, you can make zines instead of like a worksheet, because those are sometimes a little bit more fun because it's like a book instead of just a normal piece of paper. How boring, So, what could you make a zine about? Well, anything, literally anything. But because we are here to talk about PANS and PANDAS as well as talking about zines, here are some PANS PANDAS related things to give you an idea of what you could possibly do. You could write about your PANS PANDAS journey, either to explain to other people or to your child about how PANS PANDAS works, or certain aspects of PANS or PANDAS that you need somebody to know. Or you could just write about your journey for yourself. You could make a zine about PANS PANDAS facts or resources. You could write a whole bunch of things that you want your friends, family, doctors, or teachers to know about PANS PANDAS, like accommodations or like, hey, I have tics, don't freak out kind of thing. You could design a visual depiction of your struggles and make that into a zine. You could write a collection of poetry or write some flash fiction about PANS or PANDAS. You could use some magazine scraps, cut them out, and glue them together to make a collage that either represents your PANS PANDAS journey or just because it's fun and you want a distraction. Or maybe you want to make a comic that explains PANS or PANDAS or explains your journey. So with all that in mind, let's give making a zine a try. So in general, the tools that you're going to need to make a zine are a plain piece of paper, or you could use a printed zine template like the one on IBA's website, some scissors. If you need some help with that, make sure you ask someone, and then something to create the content. So that could be something to write or draw with, or if you want to paint something, or if you have a magazine with some glue and some scissors to, do a little collage with that. I find it helpful to fold the paper first and then number the panels so that when I unfold it to do all of my creativity, I know what order it goes in. So the first page of the zine, which is the cover, will be often in the bottom right corner, and then the order will rotate around counterclockwise. The top of each page of the zine will be the center line of the piece of paper, so you'll notice on the screen on the right, I have some of the numbers are upside down. And that's because the top of the page is the center line. So let me just explain how to actually fold the zine. So first you're going to start by folding it in half on the short edge. Then you're going to unfold it, and then you're going to fold the edges inwards towards the center seam. So you'll take one edge, pull it towards the center, and then press down the folds, and then flip it around and do the same on the other side. And that should leave you with 4 columns. Your next step is to fold it along the long edge this time. And this turns the 4 columns into 8 panels. And then fold it again along the short side. And then you'll take your scissors, or if you need a trusted adult, get your trusted adult to use scissors for you. Then starting in the middle of the piece of paper, you're just going to make a small cut that just reaches the intersection of the lines. Now, when you unfold the piece of paper again, you'll notice that there is a little slit in the middle of the piece of paper. And if you pinch the center seams and pull outwards, then it should turn into a star, or I guess a cross. I don't know what that shape is. Before you do this next step, this is optional, but it does help a little bit. I like to refold all the seams the opposite way so that they can bend both ways. And then I'll pinch the middle seams again, pull it outwards, and turn it into a star. Then I will push 2 of the sides inwards so that there are 3 panels pushed together. And the 4th panel I will wrap around the front to make the cover. And then I'd recommend numbering all of your pages so that when you unfold it again to do all your writing or your drawing, you know what panel is what. I'd suggest using a pencil for this so you can erase it afterwards. I don't know why I'm using a pen. When you unfold the panel again, the panels will not be in the same order. The first panel is in the bottom right, and then they rotate counterclockwise. And the middle of the piece of paper is always going to be the top of each little page. You can either do your drawings or writing while it's unfolded, or you can fold it back together again and do everything like that. But either way, once you're done all of your writing or your drawing, you should refold everything together so that you have a little book that you can share with other people or just keep it on your own bookshelf. Now that you have your zine folded, what's next? Now you get to write, draw, or paint, etc. on your pages to make yourself a little story. It doesn't actually have to be like a narrative. It could just be a whole bunch of different art pieces or like small little tidbits of information. And then when you fold it back up again, you can read it like a book and flip all the pages. If you want to share it with other people, just unfold the zine and then photocopy it, and then you can repeat the folding steps to make more zines. Now, if you're not really sure what you want to make a zine about, luckily for you, IBA does have a template that you can use, print it off, and then do your writing or do your drawing. I've titled it My PANS PANDAS Journey, and then you can write your name at the bottom, and then you can just follow the prompts to make yourself a little book about your experience with pans or pandas. And then that's something you can share with other people if you so choose. The prompts that are in this little zine template are, these are the symptoms I struggle with, these are the feelings I feel, this is how I've been coping, this is what I do to heal, this is what Pans Pandas has stolen, this is what I want you to know, and this is my hope for the future because spirits won't always be low. There will be a link down below for this template if you want to use it. If you are the parent of a child with pans or pandas, I feel like this would be a good activity to do with them. It kind of gives you a little bit of agency to understand your own emotions. Whether it's you or your child filling it out, or you're helping your child fill it out, you just have to respond to all the prompts. You can either write it or you can draw it. And then when you're done, you have a little booklet that you can keep for yourself, or you could photocopy it and make other ones to share with other people. I don't know, I just think it's cool to have a book about your own journey. So that's all I have for you all today about zines. I hope you learned a little something. I wish you the best on your writing journey, and as always, thank you so much for joining me.